Hello and welcome everyone to Workshop Wednesday, the AGH at Home. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a list here of some things that you're going to need today. It's pretty simple. Today we're going to be doing character illustration or character drawing. And the things that you're going to need are simple, basically something to draw with and something to draw on, and it can be whatever you like. So it could be any kind of paper, and then pencil, pens, markers, pencil crayons, etc. Whatever you would like to draw with. And then optional, if it helps you, you can have a ruler and also tracing paper. I've got lots of that here that I'm going to be using. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to gather up some of those things. I'm going to get my things sort of organized down here. My name is Tyler, by the way. I think I forgot to introduce myself. And I'm very, very happy that you could join us. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Well, if it's not your first time, also welcome. We're just so glad that everyone could be here with us. And if you'd like to follow along, you're more than welcome to, or if you just want to sort of relax and watch and take it in, you can do that too. So as always, all of our sessions, they once we stream them, they always stay on YouTube, so you can watch it later. You can sort of back up and rewind something or pause it in a certain spot if there's something that I've missed. And then you can also, if you have questions, you can pop them either in the chat or in the comments. I feel like half the time the chat works and half the time it doesn't. And if it doesn't seem to be working or if it's disabled, then feel free to just pop that in the comments, and then I'll take a look at those after and I'll answer any questions that there might be. All right. So now I'm going to move my little easel thing back up here. That's my little lamp friend. Kind of hangs out. It's just a lamp that I put two googly eyes on. Okay, so the process of developing or designing or drawing characters, I'm going to be looking at mostly something you'd see in either a comic or in like an animated TV show or like a book or whatever, really. That's actually one of my favorite things to do in art altogether. So I'm very excited for this session today. I'm going to show you a little bit of my own work, and then I'm going to show you how I kind of get from a blank sheet of paper to that. So I'll take this down. I've got a couple things here, a couple different characters. Personally, for me, I tend to go with either kind of more human-y or kind of robots or creatures. So here's some, whoops. I'm going to need that later. Here's some of the robots. And there's also a couple sort of monster type creatures that I have. And then I also do some characters that are a little more kind of inspired by people. So like this one here, it is a person on a skateboard eating a hot dog. And then here, this one sort of has the anatomy or the body of a person, but like the head of a box or a brick or something like that. And okay, sorry about this. I do need that one that I dropped. Still doing better than last week, I think. So this one, we have a little sort of creature or character who is kind of inspired by some plants. So when I am sort of approaching this kind of thing, I'll show you some of the things that I might kind of consider. I like to do some warm-ups. I don't always have an idea of a specific character or something that I want to draw. I don't always have that totally in mind right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for me to kind of discover it. In my sketchbooks, I have loads and loads and loads of, you know, drawings that I don't really like. I have lots that I do like. There's lots of stuff in here. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to start with Conte here. It's basically a piece of chalk or a pastel. And what I like to do to kind of like inspire some creativity is two things, is drawing some sort of like mashups, and then also drawing just shapes and blocks and 3D shapes that kind of could go together. So by mashup, I mean, let's mix up like a snail and a horse, or a toothbrush and I don't know. Usually I'll write like a list of animals and a list of things, and I'll just kind of like randomly kind of pick a few of those up. So let's go with let's see. So for this one here, this bottom one here, the two kind of things I kind of got together, and I'll start with this one, was kind of a gorilla and a marble. So it has kind of a marble for a head and then kind of the gorilla body. So kind of started drawing, drawing some shapes, and, maybe drawing the marbles, maybe drawing a gorilla down here. I, can't off the top of my head exactly draw a perfect looking gorilla, but like, I just really wanted that big kind of, those big arms down there and that kind of thing. All right. And then maybe I'll draw kind of some other shapes and like kind of putting some things together. I'm just kind of warming up. I'm not really doing much. This isn't going to turn into any kind of finished work. The quicker you can go at this kind of thing, the better. And you're just, getting some, moving your hands around and moving your brain around a little bit. For some of the robots, for example, right, just drawing some quick, right? So I've got like a half circle and then some like kind of long dangly things. For another one of the robots, I had like kind of a big square and then a little kind of circle up there. So this is very much kind of the beginning of a character sheet. And you're going to end up having lots and lots of ideas. So when you're kind of like picking and choosing, now you get to kind of edit and pick and choose and then kind of take something a little bit further. I'd encourage you not to choose all of your best ideas and put them all in one thing. Try and spread out your good ideas, because trust me, you're going to have a lot of really good ideas, and you will have some ideas that you're less happy about. But if you spread out your good ideas, then you can have multiple different characters going on that you're happy with. And then also, if you do one character with all the best ideas, then it might end up being a little bit too busy looking, and it might distract from the actual character that you're making. So what I'm going to do is show you, I'm going to break down this one into some of the basic shapes and things, and how I would sort of start to make that. So I'm going to use a little bit of tracing paper here. And I know sometimes people say when you use tracing paper or when you trace stuff, it's cheating or whatever, but if it's your own work, it doesn't matter, right? I think it's great because at this point, I'm trying to kind of get, I'm trying to practice an idea more than I'm trying to practice the actual drawing skill. And it's just going to be easier if I have sort of a very consistent thing going on. So I will use this color. So the basic, very basic shapes I have here is sort of a circle for the head and kind of a triangle, cone for the body, two little pointy ears, and then I have this kind of thing up here. Okay, so let's put that over there. Make that darker. Okay, so you can see what I've drawn here now. A circle, a cone, and like a little leaf kind of flame. This is very, very simple, right? Very, very simple to begin. And now what I might do is place another sheet of paper over top. Once I've sort of decided, you know, I'm happy with those. Another one here, I'll show you one more. Let's see. Here he is. I'll do this guy here. And we'll have two that we're kind of working on. I like this guy because he's a little more kind of square and boxy. So the main shapes I have going on here for his head is pretty rectangular. His shoulders, they're very square. Doesn't really have much of a body. I'm not going to worry about like the beard, the mustache, any of that stuff. Just the very, very simple, basic shapes. Okay, just kind of like that. And then from there, I'm going to start building on some details and things like that. Now, what happens if you don't have a character to start from? Like I did, I already had them drawn and stuff. Well, that's where I kind of go back to drawing out some of the shapes and things to kind of to warm up your brain. So once you see a combination of shapes that kind of like, oh, that looks like a bit of a character that I think, you know, then that can start to evolve. So let's start with, let's do this one here. So I've got, I'll try and do this nice and big for you. My sort of circle for the head, cone for the body. And I'm going to be using an eraser, or normally I would use an eraser or tracing paper or something like that. So that way I can be kind of like sketchy and quick at the beginning. I'm not really worried about drawing straight lines or perfect lines. I can clean stuff up afterwards. All right. And then the thing is up there. So now I want to kind of place where, or decide where my character is going to be looking. So let's say if I want, you know, she's looking sort of down in that direction, my eyes are going to be kind of at the bottom. So when I make a head, I have kind of a straight line like this and a straight line like that. And then this line, that's where my eyes will go. And then this line, that's where my nose goes. That's just kind of how you would kind of place or map out some of those facial features. And the nice thing about character drawing is that you don't even have to draw all of those. Like you can tell on this one, you know, she has eyes. There's no nose, no mouth, not that stuff, but that's totally okay. because you're getting a little bit creative here. So this line, I'm going to kind of draw it down like this. Okay. And now I'm starting to add a few more kind of details here and there now that I have this in, you know, the ears, kind of pointy, the arms kind of down like this. And then the leaf thing up there. Okay, so that's the very sort of basic breakdown of how I might start doing that. Once I have this, if I was using a pencil, I could erase some of these lines and I could start adding in some of the shading. So, and some of the details, like maybe, you know, there's this, maybe she's wearing like a necklace, and then I'll kind of shade in on this side a little bit. Maybe I will use some different colors in here. All right. So again, now you can see, you know, if you look back, I started there, circle, teardrop or raindrop and cone. And then now I've chunked those things together and I've asked to add a little bit more detail and things like that. All right, so let's move on to our sort of fisherman guy, who is mostly squares. So this one we've got mostly like kind of rounder, softer lines. All right, let's see. Now, if I were to be kind of drawing a person in a more traditional or realistic way, I would start by drawing, you know, the head, and then the shoulders, that's sort of the torso. I would kind of, you know, just do a quick kind of sketch like this, and then I would add in some of the details and things like that. For here, I'm trying to get the proportions more or less correct. So the head in the size with the shoulders and the neck and all that stuff, and the arms, I want all that to be kind of the proper length. But when you're doing character drawing, you don't have to follow those rules as much. In fact, if you do it the correct way and then kind of exaggerate things a little bit more, then it becomes super, super fun. So instead of having, you know, a regular sized head and regular sized shoulders, let's go with our sailor guy, where he had, I'm going to use this green, no, the blue. He had kind of a square head, or a rectangle rather, that got a little bit bigger at the bottom. And then the body was just big and blocky like this. Okay, right now it's looking almost like a robot because it's very square. And then he had a little tiny little hat on the top. But I'm going to be adding some things as we go that's going to, and if you want it to stay square, great, then you can keep going with that. But I'm going to be adding a few more sort of curved things as well. Okay, so like I did before, I'm going to do my kind of eye line. I can have my eyes way close to the top, or I can have them like closer to the bottom. I'm going to do my eye line up here and my nose line there. And for this one, I'm not going to actually draw the eyes in. You can see here, I just did some big bushy eyebrows, and a big old beard and a big mustache. So he doesn't really even have, like, you know, maybe he has eyes under there, but I'm not drawing them in. You don't really have to. He's got a big old nose right there. So his nose is quite large, but again, we're exaggerating things a little bit. All right, so I'm going to sort of curve out his shoulders a little bit. And at this point, you can decide, do I want his shoulders to be wider? Do I want his head to be bigger? You can kind of adjust things. Maybe I'll make his head a little bit longer. Yeah, there we go. He's got like a big square chin. And then you can start adding things like your beard. So let's see, under the nose here, I'll put his big bushy mustache. And I'll put his big eyebrows. Now, like I said a couple of times, normally I'd be using a pencil, but using a pencil is really hard to see from the camera, so that I could be doing like erasing and things like that. But also I wanted to do it this way so that you can see the squares and shapes and lines when I've done the whole thing, and you can sort of, you know, you can see it kind of made like that. So the blue is my first step, and the brown here, this is kind of my second step. And then if I had a, you know, I could erase all the blue lines afterwards. And now I can decide, I actually kind of like it without the beard, like the big chunky square chin. So I could leave that if I wanted to. I'm not gonna decide on that yet. So now I'm gonna add a little bit of detail where his coat would be. And again, because I'm drawing his body so large, I don't have to draw his entire body at all because, well, because it goes off the page, which is, I mean, you can draw the entire body if you want, but you don't have to. Okay, I am going to draw the beard in now because I kind of like that. So his ears, I'm going to put them kind of down here. And normally on a human face, as you can see, my face beside this one, the ears, they're, you know, right in the middle of the head with the eyes. And then the nose is, you know, like this. But here, I have these little tiny ears, like way down here, his giant bushy eyebrows way up there. And I'm kind of like messing and rearranging and moving things around a little bit. So I'm gonna make his beard nice and almost like eggplant shaped. Kind of like that. All right, so now I'm going to kind of fill in or draw with a nice dark color the lines that I'm going to keep. Even though, you know, the beard covers up a lot of this stuff, it's helpful that I drew that there at the beginning because I know that it's there. So I like his eyebrows. I'm going to keep them. Side of his head looks good. Little tiny ears. The nose, I went from a triangle just to a little sort of line, but you can see I drew the triangle so that I know where to draw the line. I put a little toque on there, keep his little head warm. And to make his eyebrows appear even kind of bushier, I drew them sort of going, this one at least, like it's sticking out of the side of his head. And then I can give him little lines there. That makes him look a little bit older. Okay, maybe I'll start to draw a little bit of shading in the mustache. And then put in a few little finishing touches, like maybe he's got those things on his shoulders that I don't know what they're called, but okay, so that's how I might approach the process of character drawing. As you may have noticed, I haven't gone much into designing in terms of, you know, imagining a character or something like that. Maybe we can do that another week. Some of the more creative kind of thing. But here today, I wanted to at least start with breaking down how to actually draw something. So again, starting with very, very sort of simple geometric shapes or kind of a few organic shapes, putting them all together, you know, like I've got started with this kind of thing. You know, here's my quick, you know, just doing some kind of quick things. And then eventually adding sort of layers and layers until we get to something like that. I'll shade that in a little bit. There. Okay, so that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on our character illustration journey. Very happy that you could be doing some art with us or just watching. If you create something that you would love to share with the rest of us, we would absolutely love to see it. You can post it to Facebook or Instagram and use the hashtag AGH at home. I usually have a little piece of cardboard where oh, here it is. AGH at home, that's us. So you can post something and use that hashtag, and then we can share it out with all of our friends. Again, I'm Tyler, and this is Workshop Wednesdays, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.